Hey, welcome in.
Welcome to the Arrowhead Addict podcast.
We are here coming to you live.
The Kansas City Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl. You only win a Super Bowl 2 times every 5 years, right? Oh! The warm-up act is over. Let's bring in Melissa Etheridge, massive Chiefs fan. Melissa.
Super Bowl champion, 2-time Pro Bowler, and Trent Green. Trent Green, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
And he picked it up! He picked it up! He's gonna
And we'll see you next week. But until then, as always, go Chiefs.
Welcome. This is Wacky Wednesday here on the Arrowhead Addict channel. I'm Adam Best with Sterling Holmes and producer Richard doing his thing behind the scenes. Sterling, my brother, how we doing?
Doing good. Thank you for the introduction. Yes, thank you. Richard has no power over me now. I hold with minimal responsibility comes minimal power comes minimal responsibility. I don't know. I already blew it. This thing
with great power comes great responsibility.
It's my dome. But either way, I'm very glad to be here with you.
A one-man studio. Well, we've kind of hit the lull of the summer. I know OTAs are going on and there's an occasional blip of news, like a not so good one today. I don't know if you saw that.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. If you've not seen it, it's some bad stuff going down with Isaiah Buggs in regards to animals. Can't imagine Derek Nottie would be thrilled right now. Again, this is all alleged, but dude, I am just so irate and livid that you could even potentially do something like that to a helpless animal. I was beside myself because it very irritating. And the fact is, dude, if that is true, you're done. You're gone. You are a practice squad defensive tackle. Your NFL career might be over now. You don't do that.
Yeah, you got to be on your best behavior. And we've learned throughout the years, whether it's Michael Vick or the success of John Wick, like dogs are the ultimate like innocent individual in our society. Everybody loves them. You don't mess with them. It is kind of the cardinal sin. So yeah, not great. The anti Derek Nottie. And can't we just get an extended runway or stretch without any bad news from our Chiefs? Or is this just the new normal given the intense microscope they're under?
No, I mean, this is not the new normal. This shouldn't be the new normal. You can't make this the new normal. This is atrocious. You cannot do this. Whether you win Super Bowls or not, you got to be at least a decent person. I'm not asking for everyone to be a member of a church choir. I'm asking for people to not be a complete and utter dumbass. That's all I'm asking. That's a pretty low bar. It's a pretty low bar to not do dumbassery things. Okay, I get it. They're young guys, a lot of them with money now, and all of a sudden they're having fun. This isn't fun. That what they're doing is not fun.
You know what is fun though, and kind of dumbassery, our KC stock market. So that's what we're going to get into today. A little buying, a little selling, figuring out what to do with our fake money. But if you want to do something with your real money, I think FanDuel's got some options for you, right?
We have a lot of options because if you've not downloaded the FanDuel app yet, you'll definitely want to take advantage of this offer. New users who sign up through our link must deposit $10 and place a first wager of $5 on any live bet. If that first bet wins, you'll receive $150 in bonus bets straight into your account. This offer is only available if you sign up through our link, bit.ly/arrow150. You can find that link in the description below our stream, as well as scan the QR code on screen to start signing up. Again, the link is bit.ly/arrow150. This offer is only available to new customers who are 21 plus and physically present in legal gambling states. And please remember to always gamble responsibly. Check the episode description for the link and the full terms of the offer.
Love it. The one-man studio continues over there. Let's jump into the KC stock market. Today, we're going to bring that back. Time to hit the trading floor.
Greed, for lack of a better word, is good.
Fugazi, fugazi, it's a wazi, it's a woozy, it's a fairy dust.
Tell me the difference between stupid and illegal, and I'll have my wife's brother arrested.
Gosling's hair dye in that video just kills me every time.
Gosling or Steve Carell?
No, Gosling. It's like just the fakest, darkest color you can find. it is just the most obvious like hair dye, and he doesn't even need it either. So it's just pretty funny. So let's start off. I'm going to take you down memory lane a little bit. Several years back, Cooper Kupp and Matt Stafford had the Breakfast Club. When Matt Stafford first went to Los Angeles, they were hanging out, eating breakfast in the morning, doing strategy and film sessions, and that produced a monster year for that connection. Well, Hollywood Brown is now hanging out with Patrick Mahomes quite a bit, if you haven't noticed. I'm not saying he's Cooper Kupp, but you know, they have a real rapport. They're hanging out at Mavericks game. They're doing work down in Texas. So Brown is about to post another 1,000-yard season. Pump or dump?
Dump. I'm sorry. It's not that I don't think Hollywood Brown's a great receiver, that he elevates this room a ton, because he really does. I think I'm on board with no Chiefs receiver going over 1,000 yards this year, but a lot around, I don't know, let's say 900, 950 for Hollywood Brown, just under 1,000. Whenever Rashee Rice comes back, he's going to probably go for about 70 a game. So if it's 8 games, that's 8 times 7, that's 560, right? If that's quick math, if I'm not mistaken right there. So let's say he misses 8 games, he plays in 9, you're looking at around 600 yards, right? Xavier Worthy, I think he's probably down for what? 600, 650 as a rookie, which is pretty darn good for a rookie in a Andy Reid led system. Travis Kelce probably good for another 900 plus yards again. Now, just doing math off my head, I mean, I'm not saying it in a bad way, but the ball will be spread around. It's going to be no clear cut number one. I don't think Travis Kelce, as great as he is, some games he will be the number one. But I do think the Chiefs want to take something off his plate at least until the playoffs roll around. Then he'll go for 130 a game. Then it's he's turned the clock back to when he's 27. I just don't see any Chiefs receiver going over 1,000. But I do think Hollywood Brown and Travis Kelce will be close to cresting that mark.
I'm actually going to do a light pump here and disagree with you for a few reasons. First of all, Travis Kelce, I think we're going to see more load maintenance. I think the Jared Wiley draft pick hints to that. I think the Irv Smith signing, while he might not even make the team, they're trying to bring in tight ends to kind of help Travis Kelce carry the load and make it until the postseason when he can go bonkers again. That's all that really matters to Kelce. I mean, of course, he's got to help them get there, but they've got to have him healthy. If he's not healthy, it all goes kaput.
And again, this is not a knock on Hollywood Brown. I don't want people to think that I'm sitting here being negative. Again, I think the Chiefs' offense is going to be phenomenal this year. I think the deep passing game is going to really be elevated. I just know how, at least I expected, the Chiefs' offense is going to roll. The ball will be spread around a ton. ADG right there says Brown will be the best. Brown is the best wide receiver Mahomes has since Hill left. I'm not disagreeing with you. He is the most talented wide receiver the Chiefs have had since Tyreek Hill has left. But just the way the Chiefs' offense is currently constructed, I expect the ball to be thrown around. He's not going to be targeted the same as Tyreek Hill. I don't see the same amount of targets or receptions going his way. I do think Rashee Rice is going to get his fair share. I think Xavier Worthy will get his fair share. Whether we like it or not, I think Justin Watson early on in the season is going to be a bigger cog, I think, than people might want to realize. Again, not a knock. I think Mahomes probably throws for over 4,500 yards, but no one goes over a K. That's fine.
I think I might actually agree that Hollywood Brown, I don't want to say he's the most talented or necessarily the best. That's hard to quantify, but I think he is the most complete receiver the Chiefs have had since Tyreek Hill went to Miami. And I'm going to pull up some numbers for you. In 2021, Brown had 1,008 yards in Baltimore. Why is that important? Well, there's way more pass attempts in Kansas City. During their careers, Mahomes averages 10 more pass attempts per start than Lamar Jackson. There's a lot more passes to go around. And if he put up 1,000 in Baltimore, I mean, it's not inconceivable that he could do the same thing in Kansas City, especially if Travis Kelce's slowing down a little bit. no Jet McKinnon. Rashee Rice has a suspension. Xavier Worthy. We know Andy Reid likes to onboard rookies very, very slowly. So if Hollywood Brown can stay healthy, I think this is feasible.
I didn't say it's inconceivable. I'm not saying it's not possible. Again, I think he's right under the 1,000. Like if the over under was at 1,000, I would take the under. Again, it's probably 70-30 under. Yeah, I think he goes for about 900. Again, 950 makes some sense. Allen says if he plays 18 games, it's only 56 yards, 17, and we're not counting the playoffs here. Yeah, it's not a ton, but I think there's going to be weeks where Kelsey goes for 100 and Hollywood gets, 2 catches for 45, 2 catches for 40, 2 for 35. Again, there's going to be some ups and downs. I'm not saying this is a negative. I just think the Chiefs' offense is going to be very, very spread out. And do me a favor here, Best. I'm with you. The Chiefs throw the ball more than Lamar and the Ravens. I get that. You want to take a little gander at who the Ravens wide receivers were besides Hollywood Brown that year? You want to take a little trip down memory lane?
Yeah, they weren't good, but it's not like he's playing with he's Stephon Diggs playing with Nico Collins and Tank Dell or something. So I think there's going to be plenty to go around, and kind of the mistake people make when they look at Hollywood Brown is they think he is strictly a deep field stretcher, right? He is also kind of a horizontal field stretcher, not as effective there as Tyreek Hill, because who is, but I think you can use him in some similar ways. And I just think he's going to have a great year in fantasy. I am buying him everywhere I can because I think he's undervalued.
Hey, well, I have him in a dynasty league, so for me, I'm not too upset about it. If he goes for 1,412 tutties, trust me, I will be the ultimate Hollywood Brown hype man, because that pickup when he was with Arizona, thank you.
Let's move on to our next one with only 2 trusted options on the roster, Isaiah Pacheco and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. The Chiefs must bring in another veteran running back. Pump or dump?
Pump. I'm perplexed. I'm confused, befuddled. I don't get this. I'm not saying, the guy from TCU. Oh, it's an Amani Bates. I'm not saying Deneric Prince.
Amani Bailey, right?
Bailey. Sorry, yeah, Amani Bailey. Amani Bates was that former basketball player, if I'm not mistaken, the young guy. I think he went to Memphis. I don't think running back is obviously the most important position by any means. I don't think you have to have 4 great stud RBs by any means, especially when you have Mahomes as your quarterback, as Rob Miller's pointing out right there. But you want to have some depth, especially when you have guys like Clyde, who's been injured. When you have Isaiah Pacheco, who runs very physical, and he's already been injured in his young career. Keontae Ingram, another guy they brought in from Arizona. I don't know if you're putting all your eggs in that basket. They let LaMichael Pirine walk. I'm just a little confused. Do you want to run it back one more time with Jerick McKinnon, who again had his own set of injuries last year? Sure. I see Carson Steele right there. Okay. I would
more of a fullback hybrid type, right?
Is there room for Carson Steele and Reese Zammit, these hybrid players who don't have a real role? Or is there room for both those dudes as well as 4 tight ends? Like, roster construction is gonna have to happen here. You need at least 3 RBs that I think you trust. And you want a 4th one. If your 4th is Deneric Prince or Keontae Ingram on the practice squad, fine, that's cool. When it comes to the 3rd guy who's active on game day, I want someone with a little more track record. That's just my personal opinion. You'll probably see it. There's not a lot on the free agent market right now, but you'll get some cuts. Right, you'll get some veteran cuts, I think, after training camp. So that's probably what I think the Chiefs are looking for.
Yeah, I'm a big pump here because I think Isaiah Pacheco, he's not an elite RB1. He is a pretty good RB1. He's a serviceable RB1. And then Clyde Edwards-Helaire is more of an RB3 than an RB2. So you really need some more juice in that room. Now, maybe Jerick McKinnon is coming back again, and this signals towards that. The guy's getting up there. I mean, he's really getting up there. He had core surgery, which is really hard to come back from. McCole Hardman also struggled with that. It's tough. So I think the other thing they could do, other than wait for cut day, is perhaps just get to the trade deadline. And this is just one name, but you might have someone like Alvin Kamara come up that's going to be a free agent, that's going to be on the market, and the team says, well, I'd rather get something for this guy now than nothing for him in the summer. Something like that could work out. And also maybe someone like Cam Akers they bring in to give a shot. He's torn 2 Achilles. I wouldn't put a lot of hope in that basket.
No, isn't he? I think he's surprisingly young for a dude who's played as many years. Well, not a lot of games. Yeah, he's 24.
He came out very young, and the poor bastard has had 2 Achilles tears, but looks decent working out and might be worth a shot. I think Dalvin Cook is cooked. I think Kareem Hunt is never coming back. I don't even think that's a non-starter for this organization. There's just not a lot of good names out there. So hopefully someone else will become free on cut day or the trade deadline.
Yeah. That's why I wanted Austin Eckler. It didn't happen. Didn't happen.
I wanted Aaron Jones, man. Give us the closest thing we've seen to Jamal Charles since Jamal Charles. That would have been a lot of fun.
Yeah. With Shamari Connor set to play more in the slot and Brian Cook coming off of injury. Safety Jaden Hicks will play a ton as a rookie. Pump or dump?
Yeah, I think I'm pumping here. I think he's one of the steals of the draft. Dane Brugler, I believe, had him as his top safety or his number 2 safety, something like that in the beast. He's obviously a smart player, good athlete, seems ready to play. And under the tutelage of Dave Merritt and Steve Spagnuolo, I think they will have him ready. They like to play 3 safeties a lot. If you're playing Shamari Connor quite a bit as kind of a slot corner, and you have Justin Reed out there, you have Brian Cook out there, who we don't know how healthy he is. He looks healthy at this point, but they like to play 3 safeties. So I do think Jaden Hicks is going to have a role. They lost Mike Edwards to free agency, right? So I expect him to see him on the field a lot, and he may have the most productive rookie year of this entire class. I would not be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't think I'm going to pump this one. I think he's going to play a decent amount, but I think he is firmly safety 4 right now. Again, depending on where Shamari Connor plays, I think Shamari is still going to play a lot in the 3 safety sets if he's not in the slot, because I think Nick Jones might get an opportunity to play a good chunk of his snaps in the slot as well. Again, barring Nick Jones making the roster or not, Najee Johnson also is getting thrown into the equation. As much as I think Jaden Hicks will play a massive role in the future, this upcoming year, I don't see a ton outside of special teams. I love the pick of Jaden Hicks, and I do think there's a good potential. This is your Justin Reed replacement. I was talking with Daniel Harms on the show yesterday. Jaden Hicks is a guy who can play up in the box. Like, this is a very physical safety, but what, as Gary Age points out, Spagnuolo is going to make it work. Yeah, if anyone's going to find a way to get the best out of this guy, out of the entire totality of the secondary, it's Dave Merritt as well as Steve Spagnuolo. It's just another weapon he can use in his arsenal. Again, I don't know how much of an impact he's going to make as a rookie when there's already a good amount of talented players above him, but I think overall, phenomenal draft pick, and you're going to see him shine on his rookie deal at some point, even if it's not this year.
Yeah, and if it's not this year, I think the Chiefs were playing 4D chess and thinking about Reed, thinking about Trey Smith, thinking about Travis Kelce eventually, and certainly Noah Gray, probably likely to depart this offseason. So they're looking to 2025 as much as they are 2024 with some of these draft picks.
Well, and that's why they let Tyrann Mathieu walk. They bring in Justin Reed. They're not getting a lot of second contracts here in Kansas City. They get the first deal, and then it's okay.
Not the defensive backs, right? Pretty much never.
Juan Thornhill was a very solid player, and they said, we're just going to draft another safety. Sorry, you can get your money on the open market.
Charvarius Ward.
With Justin Reed, and eventually if Brian Cook has a great year, bounces back from injury, can they afford to keep him? He's only a second-round draft pick, so he only have a 4-year contract. I mean, the Chiefs, again, they're saying we're not going to spend a ton of money on the safety position. I think they'll spend it on one guy for one contract to somewhat rejuvenate the secondary room as a leader, if you will. That was Tyrann Mathieu. This is Justin Reed. I just think, as you're mentioning, they're looking towards the future, which you can do when you have a lot of depth and talent, and when you can get the best out of these guys because you have a good old Steve Spagnuolo as a DC.
Let's move on. The Chargers hiring a coach who wants to establish the run first and foremost is a disaster for Justin Herbert's development. Pump or dump?
Dump. No. Harbaugh is going to be a great coach for Herbert. They're going to struggle this year. I think that team's really bad. I think Herbert's still a very good quarterback, a very talented quarterback. I think Harbaugh's a hell of a head coach. But this year, when you have Ladd McConkey as your wide receiver one, again, I like Ladd a lot. I wasn't wanting him to be a wide receiver one. No. Quentin Johnston? What, Joshua Palmer? Is he still there? I mean, it's not great. They have a good bookend tackle-wise with Rashawn Slater as well as Alt, right? Great tackles. The interior is okay because the uncertainty with Corey Linsley, right? We have no idea if he's going to retire, what's going on. His contract got restructured. I think Herbert is going to have has some time in the pocket, but who's he throwing to? This is going to be a growing year for Herbert and the Chargers. I think they have the right guy for the job. I think they have the right quarterback. I think they have the right tackles. They don't have the right wide receivers right now. Check back with me in 2 years how this Chargers team's doing, because I think this year they're going to struggle.
Yeah, if I were a Chargers fan, I'd be worried because you have a guy that has the abilities of a Greek god that might get turned into a game manager. J.J. McCarthy was a game manager. And if he wants to run the ball and play kind of conservative, safe football, that's going to make Justin Herbert lean into his worst tendencies. He needs to be more of a gunslinger. He has all the tools. He can play outside of structure if he loosens up and lets go a little bit. He just plays kind of robotic, kind of tight. He seems so worried about making mistakes. I kind of wanted them from just a football standpoint, not a fan standpoint, to bring in somebody who is kind of more of a quarterback guru who could really maximize his talent and help him let it go. I don't know who that would have been. I mean, maybe someone like Sean Payton a year ago. But I just don't think – I think there's kind of the misconception that running the ball is how you beat the Chiefs. And I think they've kind of proved that you can't just shove the ball down the Chiefs' throat and run the clock out.
I mean, Harbaugh got the best out of the quarterbacks he had in San Fran. I mean, he immediately turned that team around. I know if you're known as a defensive first head coach or you're known as we're going to run the football, it doesn't mean that he's going to do it with this team. It's because he's had success with the previous teams who he did that with teams that were built to play that way. This Chargers team isn't built to play that way. I think he's a damn good head coach, and he's going to put him in the best possible spot to succeed. Again, I just think there's not enough talent this year to really make an impact.
Well, I think drafting Chenal ahead of Malik Neighbors, which could end up being
a great move.
I think it could end up being a mistake, but it's probably going to end up being, I mean, right now, the argument between Penei Sewell and Jamar Chase, there's still no winner. It's like both teams won. So It's very, very hard to pick between those guys, but I just think they already had Rashawn Slater. They already had the anchor of that line. They just so desperately needed receiver help. And as much as I like John Alt, I think the gap between Malik Neighbors and Ladd McConkey is a little bit bigger than Alt and maybe someone like Patrick Paul. I could be wrong. I think you go out and get your star quarterback, a star receiver, because they're probably never going to be back up in the top 5 or 6 to get the chance to get a Malik Neighbors again.
Sure. You won't also have a chance to get Alt again. I'm team build in the trenches. That's where I think the game, for the most part, is won and lost. You know, as much as we love talking about the Chiefs and Mahomes and all their weapons that the Chiefs have had and possessed, I think that not enough credit is sometimes given to how good the offensive line is as well. I give the big dudes up front love, okay? Trust me, going all the way back to the early 2000s with Will Shields and Willie Rofe and Casey Wigman and Alt as well, Brian Waters. The offensive line makes a massive difference. They just didn't have the rest of the team.
It's different in Kansas City, though. Sometimes I think we think receivers aren't very important. because of Patrick. And Patrick is one of one. He's unlike any other quarterback in the league.
Sure.
And if you look at just for one example, what A.J. Brown did for the Philadelphia Eagles.
With a great offensive line, one of the best.
But I mean, they weren't even close to sniffing the Super Bowl without him. And he totally transformed that quarterback. I don't think Justin Herbert's better than Jalen Hurts.
The only Super Bowl the Chiefs lost in the Mahomes era was the one where the offensive line was an absolute train wreck. True. They won the one with the worst wide receiver core in the entire NFL.
But yeah, that's Patrick Mahomes, not Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert's going to need a little bit more help. So
he's going to need more time to throw as well. All right. With Willie Gay now a Saint, linebacker Leo Chenal will build on his epic Super Bowl performance and be the team's most improved player, pump or dump.
God, I want to pump, but I'm going to dump. I'm a little worried about his ability to be a full-time player. I think he's fantastic against the run, rushing the passer, but just his ability to move diagonally, horizontally, do good work in pass coverage. I just don't know that that's ever going to be part of his arsenal. That's more of a Drew Tranquil thing. So I do think he's going to take a step forward, and we're going to see more of the guy we saw in the Super Bowl, and he'll be a valuable piece for Steve Spagnuolo. I just don't know that he'll be a full-time player because I think he likes to kind of do the situational thing, Steve Spagnuolo, with his linebackers.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. I think he's a great player. I think he's a useful player. I just don't know where he fits full-time on this roster, right? As far as, yeah, he's great against certain teams, and he's going to play 80% of snaps against certain teams. There's also going to be games where he plays 10% of snaps. They do the two linebacker sets more than almost anyone in the NFL, so it's going to be Nick Bolton and Drew Tranquil. I would like to see Leo Chenal line up a little bit more as a pass rusher, just every once in a while. Daniel Harms and myself, when he was drafted, we both said the exact same thing. We didn't see it until last year. We saw the very tail end of last year. I actually asked Leo about it at the Super Bowl, and he said he really, really enjoyed doing that.
Yeah, I like the stand-up Melvin Ingram style roll for him occasionally off the, really wide off the edge. I don't know if it's a 9 technique or whatever, but I think he can do some of that without Charles Omenihu, presumably for some time. We might need a little bit more of that from him.
Yeah, and I'm also with you. As athletic as Leo Chenal is, and he's just as athletic as Willie Gay Jr. I mean, you look at the RAS scores and just Leo Chenal is one of the most athletic dudes in the entire NFL. But his game isn't pass coverage. That's not his style. You're talking laterally. Again, not saying he can't grow there. I mean, Willie Gay Jr. grew there. I just don't know how much we're going to see Leo because the Chiefs don't use the base 4-3 very often.
Great for playing San Francisco. Great for playing the Ravens. Some of those games will definitely need a ton.
The Eagles. If you play the Eagles, he makes a lot of sense. But
against
the Colts, which is a good piece to have. It's a chess piece, if you will. Just in a consistent game-to-game basis, I don't know.
He's a rook. He goes forward. He goes no diagonal for him. But sorry, Leo, we love you. You're a great player.
I love Leo Chenal. I don't think I said anything bad about Leo Chenal.
Well, it's awesome that Nick Bolton is the leader of the defense, a really smart player, does a lot of things well, and Drew Tranquil excels in pass coverage. So it's not necessarily a knock on him, just the other guys are good as well. Let's move on. Neither Jalen Watson nor Joshua Williams will be able to replace L'Jarius Sneed, and the defense will take a small step backwards. Pump or dump?
Well, it's worded funny to me because no, he's not. Neither guy will be able to replace L'Jarius Sneed. L'Jarius Sneed was, in my opinion, an All-Pro last year. Should have been an All-Pro last year.
Yeah,
but I think Jalen Watson and Joshua Williams will do fine. I think they're going to be good enough. Will they take a small step backwards? Maybe, but I almost want to dump because I think the Chiefs secondary and defense in totality is going to be just as good as last year. I really do. Losing L'Jarius, it sucks. That's a big loss. But Trent McDuffie is still there. Now he's going to move into that sort of role. You have Joshua Williams and Jalen Watson. Then you have a whole bunch of upside guys where I know we talked about that with the wide receivers last year. I think there's at least more of a track record when you have Dave Merritt and Spagnuolo as your coach instead of a somewhat of an unknown as your wide receiver coach last year.
And we haven't even mentioned Kamal Haddon.
Yeah, that's my upside guy. That guy, Echo Boydo, who actually I think played fine last year. Again, it won't be L'Jarius Sneed. It's going to look a little different, but I think the defense doesn't take a step backwards. I think they're going to be the exact same. A lockdown top 5 defense in the NFL.
Yeah, and it might be kind of a trick question. You might have, if Chamari plays in the slot a lot, and I love Chamari Connor. I think he could eventually be a Pro Bowl level player. Then you have Trent McDuffie replacing Sneed, and these two guys are basically playing the same role they played last year. So you could see that. I think Joshua Williams is the guy with the ceiling here. If there's going to be the next up that Steve Spagnuolo kind of cracks the code with, and that it kind of follows the trend of Sneed and Travarius Ward, it would be Joshua Williams. As much as I like Jalen Watson, I just feel like Joshua Williams is so toolsy that he has a little bit more untapped upside at this point.
Which is funny because we all said that coming out of college. But he's been a little more consistent maybe than Jalen Watson. Watson's kind of been boom or bust, right? We all remember the pick sixes and the game against the Chargers and all that stuff. Like, it's actually been Watson who's been more up and down. Williams has been a little more consistent, but I'm still with you. I think Williams to me is the guy. His thickness, if you will, his size and physicality, I think translates better to what the Chiefs are trying to do. Again, I think Jalen Watson's a very fine player. I think he's a great CB3. I think any team in the NFL would be thrilled to have Jalen Watson on their team. Mm-hmm. And again, maybe you'll see some mix and matching. Some game it's Watson, some game it's Williams. Just depends on the wide receiver. And again, Watson's not small either. No. He's still a fairly tall cornerback, right? I think he's 6'1". He might be listed at 6'2", which I think is a little generous, but still. It's not like he's a 5'10" corner who's going to get mossed constantly by wide receivers. No, he's tall as well. Both very, very solid CBs.
I feel good about the room. And part of that is just because there's such a proven track record of drafting and developing these guys from this franchise that you have to give them the benefit of the doubt. They showed extreme confidence in moving L'Jarius Sneed, and I think that confidence was earned.
Yeah. All right. Next one. The Chiefs are the only NFL team without at least one alternate jersey. They need to capitalize on their success and join the trend. And I will give this such a hard dump. It's insane.
I'm giving it a mega pump. I think it's fun. I think we kind of take tradition too seriously in sports. They're games, they're fun, they're entertainment. I think a charcoal gray or some kind of gray goes with everything. It would be nice. And also for the team, I mean, it's another avenue for revenue. So I just don't understand the holdout. I guess the Hunts are very, very traditional and we're the Chiefs. We don't need any gimmicks or something like that. But I think it's fun for the fans. Correct. I think it's very fun for the fans. And ultimately, that's what this is about. The fans are the reason we have the product. Oh, a lot of them do.
A black jersey or a gray jersey? Dude, stop that. That is horrible.
Why?
Dude, that's not any of their color schemes. Like, why? No, this is not the NBA. Do the Yankees have one?
Nobody cares about baseball. Come on.
No.
This is 20. I think the NBA is a better model than Major League Baseball.
Sure.
If you're trying to get young people involved in the sport.
The Lakers have legit jerseys, and then when they ever try and switch, it's an uprising. When Boston wears theirs, it's an atrocity. Like, are you serious?
The Celtics do have the black uniforms. They look pretty nice, I think.
Oh, dude.
I do not. I agree with Angry Drunken German. I don't want the heavy yellow. And I don't even know about the black, but I think like a charcoal gray or a gray could look nice. It could look stealth. It works with everything. It's a neutral color.
I'm cool with the Dallas Texans helmet. Okay, that's cool. You got red, you got white, and you have yellow/gold if you want it as your third. Don't mess with the good thing. Don't do it. Don't do all yellow. Don't do black and red. I'm sorry, Gary H. I always appreciate you. I don't like it's not the Chiefs. The Chiefs are red. The Chiefs, that's who they are. I don't mess. The Yankees don't mess with it. The Lakers don't mess with it. Don't mess with it.
They mess with it a little. They mess with it a little. I don't know. It's a fun debate. I don't expect them. Yeah, it is. I don't expect them to do anything here, but every other team in the league has.
Woozy guy, Ryan Gosling, hair dye black. Why not?
Ryan Gosling, hair dye black. That is the color. I don't like when they do these mock-ups and they change the color of the helmet to black. That's just not the Chiefs. You have to keep the helmet the same color and find something a little bit more subtle that works with that. That's why I kind of think gray could work.
Why would you ruin the history that is the glorious Chiefs uniforms? They're winning Super Bowls right now. Don't jinx it, Best.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what happens the second your dumbass black jersey makes an appearance and they lose that game, it's getting tossed out and you're getting blamed.
If you look at the history of new jerseys, the Houston Rockets, the Denver Broncos, it's not a jinx. If anything, it's been like a reverse jinx. It's been an anti-jinx. So food for thought.
The new Broncos jerseys, the ones that everyone are calling like Kmart knockoffs, those ones?
No, the ones they rolled out and then Elway proceeded to win back-to-back and ruined my childhood.
They needed something, though, because they were stuck. The Chiefs aren't stuck.
I think the Rockets won a championship, changed from the red and yellow, brought in the blue, and then they won another one.
Okay, my dad has a good point. He goes, it's only for non-winning teams. That's what losing teams do. Losing teams need something. The Chiefs don't need something.
They need help to sell jerseys, right?
We're never going to agree on this. You're just wrong.
It's one game a year, man.
Oh, yeah, the Royal Flag jerseys were great too, huh?
Yeah, why not? The look at what the Chargers have. They have 3 cool jerseys.
Look at their history.
We have 2. I doubt the reason they're winning or losing is because the jerseys. I doubt the Chiefs jerseys have anything to do with Patrick Mahomes being a demigod out there.
Historically great teams don't mess with it. That's why I always got mad when Boston did. If you're Miami, fine, go ahead. I know you've been successful, but Miami, it's fun. The Miami Vice jersey's cool. The Lakers, don't mess with it. You have history. You have the greatest jerseys. If you're the Knicks, you don't really have a lot of rings to show, but you're a historical franchise. Don't mess with it. If you, the Steelers only do it because that was their original way back yonder. The Bucks do it because they haven't been around long enough, and those creamsicles were the whatever your thoughts are on those. That's different. That's part of their history. The Chiefs.
I love the creamsicles.
The Chiefs don't need to do that. They're the Yankees of the NFL right now. The Patriots only changed their helmet, which, quite frankly, they should do for every game because the big dude snapping the football, the center snapping the ball in their helmet, Patriot Pat is badass.
Patrick Allen is that's kind of a pet project of Patty's. So I'm an iconoclast. I don't always think. I think we're a little bit too uptight with our traditions, and I think we should have fun sometimes. And I don't know, maybe I'm a hedonist, but I want the alternate jersey. Damn it, give it to me. Not the yellow though. That looks a little too mustard and ketchup for me.
You probably hate when they say they're going to beat the hell out of you too, don't you, Best? You probably hate that tradition.
The Gary Glitter.
Rock and roll part 2, baby.
No, I like the Gary Glitter. I mean, you can have tradition and new simultaneously. It doesn't have to be one or the other. You can do a little bit of both. We're at a stalemate here. So let's move to the final one. Chris Jones is participating in minicamp. Given that he'll get in an entire preseason, he'll have an even better year in 2024. Pump or dump?
Oh, pump. Great year last year. Was it 9.5 sacks? But they still gave him the bonus, if I'm not mistaken, right? Because it was double digits. I forget what it actually was. Yeah, I think he will, and I think he's going to have more help. I do think Charles Omenihu being out might hurt him early on in the season, but Karlaftis he's such a valuable player. Bringing back Mike Dana was huge, and I do think FAU is going to get a nice step forward this year. I don't know how FAU is going to be in the run game. I don't want to pretend and say, yeah, FAU is going to be a stud, a 3-down defensive end. And I get people are going to be upset because he was drafted in the first round. It's a sunk cost. to sunk cost at this point.
I mean, he's a de facto second rounder when you're the last pick of the first round.
Sure. And even when you say he's a second rounder, okay. But him and Mike Dana will combine to make one really damn good edge rusher this year. Mike Dana early on, first and second down, third down, bring in FAU, let him get after the quarterback with that bend. Again, I wonder how they're going to actually, if they're going to have FAU kick inside, Karlaftis kick inside, and Chris Jones goes to the outside, or is Chris Jones going to stay on the inside more this year than in the past? I don't know. But I do think Chris Jones, put him down for the over-under, let's just say, is 11.5, given the over. I think he goes 12 or more sacks this year.
Yeah, I think you move him around and continue to find the weakest link. He's your best player and arguably the best player on the field when he's lined up against the opposing offense. I just love the fact that on opening night, when the Chiefs play the Ravens, we're not going to see him sitting in the stands next to two guys that look like mob goons from some 90s movie. So that will be nice. It'll be nice to see him get in the reps during the preseason, kind of come in shape. I think he was in shape. I don't think he was lazy. I think he was working out and he had his mind right. But you can't really simulate those practice reps, those game reps, the things that they were doing when he was just in a gym somewhere. So I think that's going to be valuable for him. Also could help make sure he stays healthy. I think we're going to see the 14 sack or so player come back. And sacks, we probably should be looking at pressure numbers. I think he might lead pressure defensive tackles and pressures this year.
Sure.
Sacks are a little fluky. You know, sometimes you have a player that's just okay, rack up like 16 sacks or something.
Was it Vic Beasley who had like 18.5, and everyone's like, he had like 19 pressures. Like anytime he got back there, he brought the quarterback down, and then you looked at the rest of his career and you go, oh, okay. Yeah, that was just a fluke. Chris Jones, what he does, never a fluke. He's always getting pressure. Again, what he did in the Bills game, what he did throughout the playoffs, even if he's not getting a sack, he's making the quarterback throw the ball away, putting pressure on the quarterback, making a play happen. And you won't see it show up on the stat sheet, but that's all him. That's the kind of impact player Chris Jones is.
And I think there's one other factor here, along with maybe as the kind of third wheel of the Kansas City superstar trio. He has the most to gain in terms of name recognition from another championship. But this is going to be a stretch where he doesn't have to contend with Aaron Donald, and he can stake his claim as the best defensive tackle in the league, which I think he's been itching to do. And towards the end there, he wasn't that far off Aaron Donald. So I think
we're 2 years, you can definitely make the case that it was Chris Jones.
Yeah. But, Aaron Donald is one of the greatest defensive players who ever lived and has the name. So he's got an enormous shadow. That shadow is now gone. I think Chris Jones will take a step forward, at least perception-wise, but I think he'll have a better year. That's all we've got for you guys today. It's closing time. Props to our chat and members. We really appreciate you guys. If you haven't hit like or subscribe, consider doing that. That helps us out a lot. The other thing that helps us out a lot is subscribing to the AA podcast on Spotify, on Apple, wherever you can find the show. That way you never miss Wacky Wednesday. Join us next Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. Central here on the Arrowhead Addict channel. I'm sure Sterling will have even more sound effects figured out by then.
Yeah, I'm trying to get Joe Namath struggling. I'm trying to really get that one in there. And maybe I can try and get Mike Tyson spinal. Like those are the ones I'm trying to get locked in on this bad boy.
You got to get some Chiefs ones in there. We'll have to think about this. If anybody has suggestions, let us know. But until next week, go Chiefs.